Okay, so Batman, Spider-Man, and Superman. These three are the most popular superheroes in the world, and despite their differences, they all have something in common. They're all heterosexual white males. For decades, these have been the heroes that we have seen in the world. But things are changing now. There's a black Spider-Man and Batman, Iceman is gay, and Superman is bisexual. Changing these heroes to fit the current culture is an essential way to bring in new readers and give people heroes who represent them and someone they can look up to. Now I'll tell you about how heroes have been represented in the past. For over 60 years, the superhero world has been dominated by white males. Even in the beginning, when there were female superheroes, there were very limited of them. They were given lesser powers than males. The Wasp her powers were to shrink and only to sting people, while her counterpart, Giant Man, could grow to the size of a skyscraper. And in the Fantastic Four, all of the men were given offensive powers, while the Invisible Woman's power was just to turn invisible. There was representation in the early 60s through the X-Men, but it was mainly used through allegories. The X-Men as mutants have been an allegory for people who are different. Brian Johnson, associate professor at Carleton University, said in Super Sex, Sexuality, Fantasy, and the Superhero, a book that came out in 2020, that they showed mutants as visually overdetermined representations of racial minorities and women. While this was true, in the beginning, they were just mainly white people. Even though they had these differences, they could still go out in public and hide them, either through a trench coat or larger shoes. But later on, the X-Men did this by having people with blue skin like Nightcrawler and Mystique. But representation has improved by changing new racial LGBTQ characters with great stories. By creating new racial or LGBTQ characters with great stories, but these characters are not well known. I'm going to list off 10 superheroes, and I want you to raise your hands if you've heard of at least 5 of these heroes, okay? Shatterstar, Sentinel, North Star, Hulkling, Wiccan, Destiny, Midnighter, Obsidian, Richter, and Apollo. Now, most of you haven't risen your hand because even though these are great superheroes with great stories, the companies mainly don't use them because they're not the headliners that make them all the money, like Spider-Man or Superman. Yes, there's been representation in the past, but it was mainly done discreetly. Now we've addressed this issue, we can address how we should change it. People need heroes that they can look up to, and the best way to do this is to change the world's most popular heroes. Matthew Galleria of Brock University said in his paper, What It Means to Be Super, Diversity in the Prevailing Discourses in Superhero Comic Books. When superhero comics allow readers to form these meaningful connections with the characters, it allows them to make sense of and feel empowered in their own experiences. We've been given proof that if we change a mainstream's hero race or sexuality, it can still be meaningful and you can still get great stories out of these characters. A great example of this happened in 2011 with Miles Morales. Miles Morales was introduced in 2011 as the new Spider-Man taking over for Peter Parker after he died. Co-creator of Spider-Man, Michael Bendis, was quoted in an article on comicbook.com in 2017, written by Russ Burlingham, who has written about comics since 1999 for companies like Wizard, The Comics Magazine, and comicbook.com, that many kids of color who, when they were playing superheroes with their friends, wouldn't let them be Batman or Superman because they didn't like those heroes. But they could be Spider-Man because no one knew who was under the mask. But now that it's true, that he's black, it means a great deal to many people. This is because even it gives them someone to be when they've not. Yeah. But another good example of this is even more than race is through sexuality. As of recently, it was revealed that Tim Drake, better known as Robin, is now bisexual. Sane Kane of The Guardian reported in August that writer Megan Fitzman wanted to pay tribute to the fact that sexuality is a journey through this character. This is because for the past 30 or so years, Tim Drake has been predominantly straight and in an on and off relationship with one character, mainly Stephanie Brown, another superhero. But she wanted to tell a story of someone coming out, feeling that they can finally come out nowadays because there's more opportunity for them to come out and there's more acceptance for them and they're not afraid to be who they are. And there's more proof that changing a character works through the new Superman. The new Superman, who is Superman's son and is the prominent Superman in the comic books right now, has come out as bisexual. And according to Timothy Adams of comicbook.com, has reported in October that orders for the issue where he has his first kiss with a same-sex partner have eclipsed those for the title's very first issue, which is very rare because mostly the first issue is the one that's most bought in a new series. This is because people are buying this issue because now they have something that a main big hero that represents them on the pages, and they're loving that. All this shows is that changing a character's identity works and allows for new stories to be told. We know that it works, but why should we care? Superheroes are supposed to be people who we look up to, and it is an amazing feeling to have representation on the page. Ellen Kirkpatrick, in her article in the Cinema Journal of the University of Texas, quoted Jason Aaron in 2015 when he addressed Marvel turning Thor into a woman. He stated that Marvel has an ever-growing and long list of female-centric titles that continues to invite new readers into the Marvel Universe. Representation on the page leads to representation on the silver screen. This has been shown through the Academy Award-winning movie Into the Spider-Verse, Falcon and Winter Soldier with the new Black Captain America, and Thor: Love and Thunder where Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, will be playing female Thor. Changing more characters to fit the cultural needs of today is necessary so that everyone can feel like they have someone they can look up to. We can see how changing common characters affects our lives, but how can we make sure that these changes continue to happen? Our world is filled with straight, white, male superheroes. Now is the time for something different. There are comic fans all over the world that are not white, straight, or male. Changing the headliners of the comic industry will help to diversify it and bring in new comic readers. And the best way to change it is to demand change. Most of these changes came from people writing the comic book companies and seeing posts on social media. The creators listen to what we want and they respond in turn. By changing these characters, we can make sure that every person has a bat, super, or spider person that they can look up to. Change is happening in the world. Why shouldn't it happen more in our comic books? And done.